Aliens advised against attacking humans. They will chase you across every galaxy, the stars stretched endlessly around the horizon. A human exploration ship that glided silently through the darkness. Its hull was small compared to the massive warships of the galaxy, but it was fast, and its crew was determined. Captain John Carter stood on the bridge, watching the control panel, his fingers tapping lightly on the console. Around him, the soft hum of the ship's engines filled the room, blending with the distant beeping of sensors and communication systems. John was not a young man, but he had the energy of someone who never knew fear. His dark hair was slightly messy, and the faint lines on his face told of years spent traveling among the stars. He had led the Horizon on several survey missions before, and each time they returned with stories of strange worlds and unusual life. Today, however, was different. The Horizon was near the edge of uncharted space, where maps ended and rumors of the Zorvath Empire filled the empty star charts. Maya Torres, the ship's navigator, was seated at her console nearby. She was small, with quick eyes and a quiet confidence that made her presence calming. Her fingers moved rapidly across the controls, calculating trajectories and scanning the nearby systems. "Captain," she said softly, "we're entering the border sector. Sensors show an anomaly in the next cluster, but nothing that looks dangerous yet." John nodded, his gaze moving to the stars outside. "Keep an eye on it. We don't want any surprises, not here." Ethan Brooks, the science officer, was hunched over a screen filled with sensor readings and data streams. He was tall and lean, with short brown hair and a look of constant curiosity. "Anomaly could be a small asteroid field," he said, his voice calm. "Or some kind of natural energy fluctuation. Nothing threatening yet, Captain." John smiled faintly. "Good, let's hope it stays that way. Keep monitoring, both of you. I want a full report if anything changes." The Horizon continued through the void, its engines silent to the naked eye but humming with quiet power. The stars outside seemed calm, peaceful even, and for a moment John allowed himself to relax. He thought of Earth, of home, of the millions of people who trusted explorers like him to map the unknown. Humans had not always been considered a serious species in galactic terms. They were small, fragile, and lacked the natural defenses many other civilizations possessed. But what humans lacked in physical advantage, they made up for in determination, adaptability, and intelligence. A soft chime interrupted John's thoughts. Maya's voice came over the intercom, calm but alert. "Captain, we're detecting a large fleet approaching from the Zorvath sector. They're moving fast, heading straight for us." John's expression hardened. The Zorvath were a powerful and aggressive species, known for conquering systems quickly and leaving little behind. "How many ships?" he asked, already moving toward the tactical display. "Approximately 50, Maya replied. "Heavy cruisers, war frigates, and at least 3 carriers. They're blocking our retreat options. Captain, they've spotted us." Ethan's eyes widened as he studied the sensor data. "Captain, they're outnumbering us heavily. Our weapons can't match that many ships at once." John clenched his jaw. "I know, but we can't run. If they capture any of our people, the situation will escalate. We need a plan." The bridge fell silent except for the soft hum of the ship. Outside, hundreds of Zorvath warships glimmered in the starlight, their long, angular hulls cutting through space with precision. The Zorvath had reputation for cruelty, but John had heard rumors too, rumors that humans had a stubbornness that even the Zorvath feared. He turned to Maya. "Plot a course through the asteroid belt nearby. It's risky, but it may give us cover. We'll try to split their formation." Maya's fingers flew across the controls. "It's tight, Captain. They'll still have numerical advantage, but it might give us a chance to escape." Ethan added, "Captain, if we can reach the outer edge of the system, we might be able to call for reinforcements from Earth. Their jump drives could outpace most of the fleet, if we can survive long enough." John nodded. "Do it, and keep the shields up. All weapons ready. This is not a fight we start lightly, but we're not going to surrender either." As the Horizon darted toward the asteroid belt, the Zorvath fleet opened fire. Bright energy beams cut through the darkness, and the Horizon shuddered as shields absorbed the impact. The crew worked quickly, their training evident in every motion. The ship weaved through the massive rocks, narrowly avoiding collisions. John's hands gripped the controls tightly, his mind focused on survival and strategy. The first few waves of the Zorvath attack passed, but more ships were closing in. Maya guided the Horizon expertly, using the irregular formations of the asteroid field as cover. Each shot the Zorvath fired was met with evasive maneuvers, but the sheer numbers of enemy ships made it clear that a prolonged fight was impossible. Then a transmission broke through the static. It was in the Zorvath language, harsh and commanding. John frowned and gestured for Ethan to translate. "They're demanding surrender," Ethan said after a moment, voice low. "They say we have no chance, that resistance is pointless. They are threatening to destroy the ship and take any survivors as slaves." John's eyes narrowed. "Do they not understand humans?" he muttered. Then more loudly he pressed a button. "This is Captain John Carter of the Horizon. We will not surrender. You have taken nothing from us yet, but if you continue, we will follow. We will come for our people, and we will not stop." The bridge was silent. The Zorvath officers must have stared at their screens, confused at the response. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Captain, are you serious? You just told them humans will chase them across the stars." John shrugged. "Let them underestimate us. It works in our favor." Maya glanced at the tactical display. "We're running low on maneuvering options. We can make one jump to another system, but after that we'll be trapped in this sector unless we fight." John took a deep breath. "Then we fight smart, use the asteroids, split their forces, and don't engage where we're outnumbered. Every move we make should force them to follow, not corner us." The Horizon leapt through the first wave of enemy fire, gliding through narrow gaps in the asteroid belt. The crew's coordination was precise, each member trusting the others implicitly. The Zorvath fleet struggled to keep formation in the dense field of floating rocks, giving the Horizon just enough advantage to escape temporarily. But the enemy was relentless. As the Horizon approached the edge of the asteroid belt, energy beams struck the hull, sending shudders through the ship. Sparks flew from a console near Ethan and smoke curled upward. Maya yelled, "Hull breach in Section 3, shields down to 50%. John slammed the emergency controls. "Divert all power to shields. Ethan, get those systems back online. We're not done yet." The Zorvath were closing fast, their carriers launching smaller assault crafts. John gritted his teeth, realizing the danger was far from over. But he also felt something else, a strange, stubborn confidence. Humanity had survived impossible situations before, and this would be no different. He looked at his crew. Maya's fingers were dancing across the controls, her face calm despite the tension. Ethan was furiously rerouting systems and repairing damage on the fly. Together, they were the reason the Horizon could still fly. "We'll make it," John said quietly. "We just have to keep moving." The first jump was tense. The Horizon's engines flared, and the stars outside stretched into long lines of light as the ship slipped into hyperspace. For a few moments, the crew could breathe. They had escaped the immediate danger, but John knew the Zorvath would not give up. They would follow. They always followed. As the Horizon emerged in a new star system, John allowed himself a small smile. The stars were different here, strange suns and unfamiliar planets, but it didn't matter. Humanity had a reputation now. They had warned the Zorvath once. And if the aliens thought humans would stop at the edge of the system, they were about to learn a lesson they would never forget. Maya turned from her console. "Captain, sensors show several small vessels approaching from the nearest planet. Could be local life or could be scouts." John nodded. "Prepare to communicate. We don't want more fights if we can avoid them." Ethan looked at the readings. "Captain, there are traces of Zorvath engines nearby too. They must have followed us through the jump." John's jaw tightened. "Good, let them come. They will learn soon enough that humans do not give up. Ever." The crew prepared the Horizon for what lay ahead. They knew the journey would be dangerous, that more battles and surprises awaited them in the uncharted space beyond. But there was no fear in them, only determination. Humanity might have been small, fragile, and underestimated, but they had one thing the Zorvath could not understand. They never stopped chasing what was theirs. As the Horizon accelerated toward the approaching vessels, John allowed himself a thought that had kept him going through years of exploration and danger. Humans always found a way. And if the Zorvath thought they could take humans lightly, they were about to discover that a single human crew could start a war across the stars, and that humans would chase them across every galaxy if it came to that. The Horizon moved carefully through the new system, its engines humming quietly, keeping pace with the faint trails of the Zorvath scouts that had followed them. Captain John Carter stood on the bridge, his hands gripping the railing, eyes fixed on the displays. Maya tours at her console, scanned the incoming ships. "Captain," she said, "there are 6 scouts approaching from the planet below. They're small, lightly armed, but fast." John nodded. "We don't attack unless we have to. I want to see what they're carrying, what they know." Ethan Brooks leaned over his science console. "Captain, I can try to intercept their communications. If we can hear what the Zorvath are saying, we might get a chance to predict their next move." John smiled faintly. "Do it. Humans have always been good at finding a way, Ethan. Let's see if we can do it again." The scouts hovered in orbit around a rocky planet, scanning the horizon. John felt a familiar tension rise in his chest, the kind that always came before a first encounter with the unknown. But he knew his crew, and he knew their abilities. Maya's hands moved quickly over her controls, weaving the horizon into a pattern that made it harder for the scouts to lock onto their position. Ethan focused on the sensors. After a few tense minutes, he looked up. "I've got it, Captain." They're reporting back to a Zorvath command ship in another system. They're confused. They didn't expect us to escape so fast. Their message says humans are persistent. We cannot shake them. John's eyes narrowed. "Persistent, that's right. Let them know persistence is dangerous." Maya shook her head slightly. "Captain, I can set a course to follow the scouts. We'll stay hidden in the asteroid belt nearby and watch them. If they take prisoners or move supplies, we can intercept them without being seen." John nodded. "Good, keep it quiet. We want them thinking they're in control. Humans are always stronger when the enemy underestimates us." The horizon drifted through the asteroid belt, hidden among massive rocks and dust clouds. The Zorvath scouts moved below, unaware of the humans observing them. Slowly, John plotted their next move. He knew that attacking directly would be risky, but if they could rescue prisoners and disrupt supply lines, it would send a message. A single ship like the Horizon could not fight 50 Zorvath warships, but humans had a way of using their minds more than their strength. After a few hours, the scouts left the system, heading back toward the main fleet. John made his decision. "We follow," he said. "Not to fight, but to track. We need to know where they're going, who they're reporting to, and how far we can push them. We don't stop. We follow no matter the distance." Maya entered the coordinates. "It's a long route, Captain. We'll have to make several jumps to keep up." "The scouts are fast, and they'll be reporting back continuously." John nodded. "We'll manage. We always do." The Horizon slipped into hyperspace, its engines flaring briefly as it jumped between systems. The stars stretched into long streaks of light, and the crew worked quietly, focused on the task ahead. Every jump brought them closer to the Zorvath fleet, and every new system revealed more details about their movements. Ethan monitored their communications, intercepting reports and translating messages. "Captain," he said after a while, "they're moving prisoners from several systems to a central station. If we can reach it first, we might save them all." John's eyes shone with determination. "Then that's where we go. Set a course, Maya. Let's make sure the Zorvath remember this lesson." Maya adjusted the navigation. "It's risky, Captain. The station is heavily defended. We'll have to sneak past patrols and avoid detection until the last moment." John grinned. "I like risky. Humans have always done better when the odds are against us." As they approached the station, the Horizon dropped out of hyperspace into a system filled with massive Zorvath warships. The station orbited a dense, gray planet, surrounded by defensive satellites and patrol crafts. John studied the layout. "We can use the gravity of the planet to hide our approach," he said. "Maya, calculate a trajectory that takes us behind the planet until we're within striking range. Ethan, prepare the boarding teams and rescue pods. We'll act quickly and disappear before they even know we were there." The plan was simple but dangerous. The Horizon moved silently behind the planet, using the shadow of the world to avoid detection. Ethan checked the boarding equipment, ensuring everything was ready. "Captain, teams are prepped. We can breach the station's hull and access the prisoner compartments quickly. We only have minutes before the patrols notice anomalies." John's face was calm, but inside his heart raced. This was the moment that could change everything. "We do it precisely, no mistakes." Humans always adapt, and today we show the Zorvath that chasing us only makes them weaker. The Horizon approached the station carefully. Sensors showed weak points in the hull, places where the station's defenses were thinner. Maya guided the ship to one of these points, the Horizon moving like a shadow in the dark. "We're in position, Captain," she said quietly. John nodded. "Boards ready, go." The boarding pods detached from the horizon, small and fast, slipping toward the station. Inside each pod, human teams waited, ready to act. Ethan monitored their progress, guiding them with precise instructions. The station's alarms had not yet detected the intruders. Inside the station, humans moved quickly and quietly. They bypassed security doors and avoided patrols, reaching the cells where the prisoners were kept. The humans inside the cells looked tired, scared, and hopeless. But when they saw the rescuers, their faces lit up with hope. "Follow us," said one of the boarding team leaders, a man named Luke Bennett. "We'll get you out. Stay quiet and stay close." The prisoners obeyed, moving quickly through narrow corridors and hidden passages. Outside, the horizon hovered in silent patience, ready to extract them. Maya guided the ship as Ethan communicated with the teams. "You're clear to dock," he said. "Move fast. The Zorvath patrols are shifting. You have 5 minutes before they notice." The humans evacuated the station efficiently, guiding prisoners into the pods and returning to the horizon. As the last group re-entered the ship, alarms blared across the station. The Zorvath had noticed the breach. John pressed a button, and the horizon's engines flared as they jumped into hyperspace. The station and its patrols were left behind, confused and unable to react. The rescued prisoners looked at the Horizon crew with awe and gratitude. John allowed himself a small smile. "We did what had to be done. No one gets left behind." Ethan checked the data from the station. "Captain, the Zorvath are reporting this as a disaster. They're confused and panicking. They didn't expect a human ship to reach the station. Their message says humans are relentless." "They follow us." John's expression was calm but firm. "Exactly, they understand now. Humans do not give up. We chase what is ours, no matter the distance, no matter the danger." Maya looked at the starfield outside. "Captain, sensors show the main fleet is moving." "They're trying to regroup. If we follow, we could keep them off balance." John nodded. "We will follow. We don't need a fight now. Just the knowledge that we are coming is enough. The Zorvath will remember that humans never stop." Over the next weeks, the Horizon continued tracking the Zorvath fleet. Every time the aliens tried to move supplies or prisoners, humans were there, appearing in systems far from Earth, striking quickly and disappearing before the enemy could respond. They freed captives, disrupted supply lines, and sent a clear message: humans do not forget and humans do not stop. Ethan studied the pattern. "Captain, it's like they are running and we are forcing them to make mistakes. They are reacting to us, not controlling the situation." John smiled faintly. "Humans are clever when cornered. That's why the Zorvath underestimated us. They thought we would surrender. They were wrong." Maya added, "Captain, I calculated their next likely moves. If we continue following them like this, we can disrupt their operations completely. They won't expect humans to reach these systems so fast." John leaned back slightly, watching the stars outside. "Let them think they are safe. Let them think humans are small, weak, and slow. Then, when we appear again, they will remember what it means to underestimate us." The Horizon continued its quiet chase, jumping from system to system, always careful, always precise. The Zorvath had begun to whisper warnings among their ranks. Reports came in from scouts. Humans appeared where they were not expected, striking with precision, freeing prisoners, and vanishing without a trace. The galaxy was beginning to take notice. Humans were small, fragile, and underestimated. But when it came to protecting their own, they were relentless, and the Horizon was only the beginning. Captain John Carter stood on the bridge, looking at the stars ahead. Maya and Ethan worked quietly at their consoles, each action precise and purposeful. Together, they were more than a crew. They were the warning that the Zorvath would never forget. Humans would chase them across systems, across galaxies, until every captive was safe and every enemy knew that persistence was deadly. The chase had begun, and it would not end. The Horizon had become a shadow across the stars. Captain John Carter watched the displays, tracking the movements of the Zorvath fleet as it tried to regroup after the recent losses. Every jump, every system, humans were there first. Their tactics had become predictable in one way. The Zorvath expected delays, but the humans had learned to be unpredictable in another way, striking where no one expected. Maya Torres worked at the navigation console, her eyes scanning the stars. "Captain, the fleet is splitting. Half of them are retreating toward the outer rim, and half are trying to regroup near a binary star system. If we follow the ones heading to the outer rim, we can cut off supply lines and continue the chase." John nodded, his face calm but focused. Good. Prepare for a long pursuit. This won't be over quickly. Humans do not give up. Ethan, keep monitoring their communications. I want to know their every move. Ethan Brooks adjusted the sensors. Captain, I've intercepted multiple channels. They are panicking. Messages are being sent back and forth. The humans follow us farther than expected, they say. They appear where we are not ready. John smiled faintly. Exactly, that's the point. Humans adapt and humans never stop. They'll remember that when they face us next. The horizon leapt from system to system, using hyperspace jumps to close distances that the Zorvath believed were safe. It was exhausting, and the crew worked long hours, but their determination never faltered. Every jump brought them closer to the enemy, and every rescue they completed strengthened the human reputation in the galaxy. They reached a system that no one had mapped before, a place of strange stars and shifting gravitational fields. The Zorvath had set up a temporary base there to regroup, unaware that the horizon was already in the system. John studied the displays. This is an opportunity. Maya, plot an approach using the gravitational currents of the stars. We'll appear in orbit undetected and strike the base before they know we are here. Maya nodded quickly, her fingers flying over the controls. It's risky, Captain. The gravitational fields are unstable. One wrong move and we could be destroyed. John's expression remained steady. We take risks when the stakes are high. Humans are not afraid. Ethan, prepare the strike teams and the boarding pods. We go in fast and leave fast. The horizon slipped into the star system, moving like a shadow among the light of the unusual stars. The base was massive, a collection of floating platforms and structures connected by bridges of energy. It was heavily defended, but John had learned that the Zorvath often underestimated humans. The boarding pods detached, small and fast, racing toward the base. Inside each pod, human teams waited, ready to act. Ethan monitored their progress, giving instructions with calm precision. Pods 1 and 2 breach the northern side. Pods 3 and 4 the southern entrance. Move quickly and avoid detection if possible. The humans on the pods moved like shadows, using the darkness to their advantage. They reached the base's hull and began cutting through the panels, careful not to trigger alarms. Inside, the corridors were dim and silent, but soon the first patrols appeared. The humans moved with precision, disabling guards quietly and continuing toward the prisoner compartments. The prisoners were tired, scared, and confused, but when they saw the rescuers, hope returned. One man, weak but smiling, whispered, "I thought no one would come for us." A human soldier, a young man named Ryan Lee, put a hand on his shoulder. "We never leave anyone behind. Humans always come back for their own." The rescue teams moved quickly, loading prisoners into the pods. Outside, the horizon waited, engines ready to jump at a moment's notice. The boarding teams communicated silently with Ethan, who guided them through the base with careful instructions. Suddenly, alarms blared through the base. The Zorvath had detected the breach. "Captain," Maya said urgently, "they know we're here. They're mobilizing forces to block our exit." John's jaw tightened. "No problem. Everyone return to the pods. We leave together. Humans are fast and smart. We adapt." The boarding teams rushed the last group of prisoners into the pods, moving through narrow corridors and avoiding the Zorvath soldiers now pouring into the hallways. Ryan and the others guided the prisoners, keeping them calm while moving quickly toward the exit. Outside, the horizon waited patiently. The pods docked, and the rescued humans climbed aboard. The horizon's engines flared, and the ship slipped into hyperspace just as the Zorvath forces reached the base's edge. The humans had disappeared again, leaving chaos behind. Ethan monitored the communications. "Captain, the Zorvath are panicking. Their message reads, 'They are everywhere. We cannot escape. They follow us faster than we move.'" John nodded. "Good, that is the lesson, persistence. Humans do not stop. They will chase across systems, across galaxies if they must." For days, the horizon followed the retreating Zorvath fleet, striking when opportunities appeared and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Each encounter strengthened the human legend, and other civilizations began to notice. Messages reached distant planets, telling stories of humans who moved faster than the fastest ships, who struck where the enemy was weakest, and who never stopped chasing. John studied the displays. "Maya, plot the next jumps. We need to keep up the chase. They are heading toward the Galactic Rim. If we can follow, we can cut off their escape routes and continue sending a message they will never forget. Maya's fingers flew across the controls. Course plotted, Captain. We'll follow them using uncharted routes to avoid detection. It will be long, but we can do it. Ethan looked at the data. Captain, our pursuit is forcing the Zorvath into mistakes. They are abandoning supply lines, leaving prisoners behind and splitting their fleet. We are winning without a fight. John smiled. Exactly. Humans are clever. We do not always need to fight with strength. Strategy, speed, and persistence can do more than weapons ever could. The Horizon continued its journey, moving from galaxy to galaxy. Each new system brought challenges, unstable stars, asteroid fields, hostile planets. But humans adapted. They built temporary bases, repaired their ship quickly, and used whatever they found to continue the chase. One day they entered a system with 3 suns, the light harsh and blinding. The Zorvath had set up a fleet there, thinking no human ship could navigate the complex gravitational currents. John studied the displays. We'll use the currents to our advantage. The Zorvath will not expect it. Maya adjusted the controls. It's dangerous, one mistake and we could be pulled into a sun. The currents are unpredictable. John nodded. We take the risk. Humans are persistent. We adapt. We survive. The Horizon glided through the currents, engines flaring briefly as it moved with precision. The Zorvath fleet struggled to maintain formation, their ships buffeted by the gravitational pull. The Horizon struck quickly, disabling supply transports and freeing prisoners. Then it disappeared, leaving the Zorvath confused and angry. Ethan studied the intercepted messages. Captain, they are calling us a ghost fleet. They say humans appear where we are not ready, strike with precision, and vanish without a trace. They are terrified of our persistence. John smiled faintly. That's the point. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not forget. We follow, we adapt, we survive, and we protect our own. As the Horizon continued its pursuit, John thought of home, of Earth, and of all the people depending on them. The chase was long and dangerous, but every action they took made humans stronger in the eyes of the galaxy. Other species began to whisper warnings to each other. Do not underestimate humans. They may be small, but they are relentless. They will chase across galaxies if provoked. Maya worked at the navigation console, eyes tired but focused. Captain, sensors show another fleet gathering. This one is larger than any before. They are trying to block our path. John nodded. Then we adapt. Humans are not defeated by numbers. We find a way. We always do. Ethan studied the data. Captain, if we coordinate with other human ships, we could overwhelm them strategically. We don't need to match their numbers. We just need to strike where they are weakest. John's eyes lit up. Good. Prepare the communications. We'll call other ships to join the pursuit. The Zorvath will see that humans are everywhere, that we chase without pause. Persistence is our weapon and strategy is our shield. The Horizon moved forward, faster and more determined than ever. Across galaxies, the human legend grew. Wherever the Zorvath fled, humans appeared. Wherever they hid, humans adapted. The chase was no longer just about rescue or strategy. It had become a symbol. Humans did not surrender and humans did not forget. John stood on the bridge, looking at the stars stretching endlessly before them. Maya and Ethan worked quietly beside him, their focus unwavering. Together, they were more than a crew. They were the unstoppable force that the Zorvath had underestimated. Across galaxies, humans were chasing them, striking with precision, disappearing without warning, and leaving a message that would never be forgotten. Humans are persistent, humans are clever, and humans will follow, no matter how far. The Horizon continued its journey, the stars stretching ahead, the chase never-ending, and the legend of human persistence growing with every system they passed. The Horizon glided through the darkness of space, its engines quiet but powerful. Captain John Carter stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Behind him, the crew worked with calm determination. Maya Torres moved from console to console, tracking the scattered Zorvath fleets, while Ethan Brooks monitored communications and sensor data, deciphering every signal. The humans had been chasing the Zorvath across multiple galaxies for months, striking fast, freeing prisoners, and disappearing before the enemy could react. The legend of their persistence had grown, and now the Zorvath were beginning to fear humans in a way no species had before. John studied the latest reports. The Zorvath had split into small groups, hoping to escape detection, but humans had found them. Reports intercepted by Ethan showed panic in their ranks. The Zorvath were abandoning outposts, leaving behind supplies and trying to hide prisoners on remote worlds. But the Horizon had followed them all, and humans had recovered every captive. "Captain," Maya said, pointing at the display, "there are 3 fleets converging in the Andros system. They may be trying to trap us. If we go in unprepared, we could be surrounded." John nodded, his expression steady. "Then we prepare. Humans never give up, but we also never walk blindly into danger. Ethan, what do the communications say?" Ethan tapped at his console, translating intercepted messages. "They're desperate. Humans will not stop. We cannot hide. We are losing control," they say. "They're arguing over what to do. Some want to surrender, some want to fight, but they all know we are coming." John smiled faintly. "Good, that confusion works for us. Humans are strongest when the enemy is unsure. We strike with speed and precision. That is how we win." The Horizon approached the Andros system carefully. 3 Zorvath fleets were moving to converge on a planet at the center of the system. John studied the fleet formations and the planet's gravity. "Maya will use the gravity wells of the 3 suns. We move fast, invisible until the last moment. Ethan, prepare boarding teams for the prisoners on the planet. We cannot leave anyone behind." Maya's fingers flew over the controls. "It's risky, Captain. The gravitational currents are extreme." "One miscalculation and we could be pulled into a sun." John nodded. "We've faced risks before. Humans adapt. Humans survive. That is what makes us strong. We'll make it work." The Horizon navigated through the 3 suns, its engines flaring briefly to stabilize against the powerful gravity currents. The Zorvath fleet struggled to maintain formation, their ships pulled and pushed by the strange forces. John's eyes were steady, focused on the mission. "Boarding teams ready," Ethan said. "Pods are loaded with supplies and equipment. Prisoners on the planet are safe, but we need to move quickly." John nodded. "Good, move fast and disappear. That is the human way." The boarding pods detached from the Horizon, racing toward the planet's surface. Inside, human teams guided prisoners from hidden camps and shelters, moving quietly and efficiently. Guards were few and far between, as the Zorvath forces had spread themselves too thin, trying to cover every approach. A young human soldier named Lily Monroe guided a group of prisoners through a narrow canyon to the extraction points. "Keep moving. Stay low." "Humans are with you now," she said, her voice calm but firm. The prisoners followed without hesitation, their trust in the humans absolute. Above, the Horizon hovered, engines ready for the jump. As the pods returned, the Zorvath noticed the breach and sent attack craft to intercept. John's hands flew over the controls. "Shields up. Fire only if necessary. We move fast." The Horizon fired brief, precise bursts to disable the attackers without engaging the full fleet. The boarding pods returned safely, and the rescued humans climbed aboard. The Horizon's engines flared as it jumped into hyperspace, leaving the Zorvath fleets behind, frustrated and confused. Ethan read the intercepted messages. "Captain, they are calling us a nightmare fleet. They appear everywhere, strike without warning, and vanish. We cannot escape. Humans follow relentlessly." John nodded. "Exactly, that is the lesson. Humans do not surrender and humans do not forget. They will follow no matter how far. Persistence is our weapon and strategy is our shield." For weeks, the Horizon continued the chase. The Zorvath tried to flee into deep space, hiding among uncharted systems and galaxies, but humans followed. Each jump brought the crew to new systems, new worlds, and new opportunities to rescue prisoners and disrupt Zorvath operations. Other species began to notice. Rumors spread that humans were unstoppable, that a single ship could strike across galaxies and leave the enemy helpless. John allowed himself a moment to reflect. "Maya, Ethan, we have done more than just rescue prisoners. We have changed how the galaxy sees humans. We are no longer small or weak. We are relentless. We are a force to be reckoned with." Maya smiled slightly. "Captain, it feels strange. We are following them, chasing them across galaxies, and yet we have not fired a full-scale battle. They are already afraid." John nodded. "That is human strength. We use what we have wisely. We strike where it matters, and we never stop. Persistence is stronger than numbers, faster than fleets, and smarter than weapons." Ethan added, "Captain, sensors show a group of Zorvath leaders attempting to communicate with each other. They are debating surrender. Some want to fight, but they know humans are too clever and too fast. They are trapped in their fear." John's eyes narrowed. "Then we give them the choice. We will not destroy them unnecessarily. We are here to protect our own and to send a warning. Humans are relentless. Humans never forget. They must see that now. The Horizon moved to a position near a neutral space station, one that was far enough from the Zorvath fleets to be safe, but close enough to broadcast a message. John activated the communications console. "This is Captain John Carter of the Horizon. Zorvath leaders, you have been warned. Humans do not surrender. Humans do not forget. We have chased you across galaxies, rescued our people, and struck with precision. You may stop fighting now, or you may continue and see the same results." Silence followed. Then the Zorvath fleet responded hesitantly. "We understand. We surrender. We will return all captives and cease attacks on humans." John nodded. "Good. Humans do not seek endless war. We seek to protect our own and to ensure justice is done. This will be remembered." The Horizon transmitted coordinates to the Zorvath fleets for returning prisoners and supplies. Humans monitored the operation to ensure it was completed safely. The Zorvath followed the instructions, their leaders visibly shaken by the realization that humans would follow relentlessly, no matter the distance or danger. John looked out at the stars. "Maya, Ethan, we have shown them the strength of humanity. Not in numbers, but in persistence, strategy, and courage. That is what makes humans strong." Maya nodded. "Captain, the galaxy will remember this. Other species are already talking about humans. They will no longer be underestimated." Ethan smiled. "Captain, the message is clear. Do not attack humans. They will chase you across every galaxy if provoked. They are relentless." John allowed himself a small smile. "Exactly, that is the lesson. Humanity has survived countless dangers, adapted to impossible situations, and always protected what is theirs. That is our strength, and it will be remembered across galaxies." The Horizon continued to travel through space, its engines quiet but powerful. The rescued prisoners looked out at the stars, free and safe, thanks to the relentless humans who had risked everything for them. Other species began to share stories of the Horizon and its crew, of humans who moved faster than the fastest ships, struck precisely where they were least expected, and never stopped chasing what was theirs. John stood on the bridge, watching the stars. "Maya, Ethan, we have done more than survive. We have proven that humans are strong, clever, and persistent. The galaxy knows now that humans cannot be underestimated." Maya smiled. "Captain, it feels like the beginning of something greater. Humans will always have the courage to follow, to protect, and to adapt." Ethan added, "And we will always be ready. The galaxy may be large, but humans are relentless. We will chase across galaxies if needed." John nodded. "Exactly. Let the story be known. Humans are small, but they are unstoppable. They never surrender and they never forget. Across stars, across galaxies, they will follow. That is the legacy of humanity." The Horizon glided silently through the darkness of space, a symbol of human persistence and courage. Across the galaxies, the legend grew. The Zorvath would never forget the lesson they had learned. Do not attack humans. If they do, humans will follow them across every galaxy, striking with precision, saving their own, and leaving a mark that could never be erased. The crew of the Horizon stood together, watching the stars, knowing that humanity's strength was not just in their ships or weapons, but in their hearts, minds, and unyielding will. They had chased across galaxies, faced impossible odds, and proved that humans were relentless. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of unknown worlds, challenges, and adventures. The Horizon and its crew were ready, and the galaxy would remember forever that humans never stop chasing what is theirs.